Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel. Thanks for joining this live stream. In this chat, I'd like to talk about how the demographics of the workplace has changed in what used to be a 98% white country, even just over 20 years ago. So consistently now when I go to business meetings, I'm going to a room where not every time, but certainly the vast majority of times, I'm going into a room with the other meeting attendees where I'm the only white person. And if I'm not the only white person, I'm the only person that speaks fully competent English. So say there may be East Europeans or Southeast Europeans or whatever at the meeting, and their English is minimal. So now typically, with the odd exception, typically these people are in fairly senior posts in marketing, marketing directors, VPs of marketing, VPs of operations, general manager operations, those sort of roles. And so reasonably, at the top end of the middle management block, or at in the senior management area. So those are mainly the people attending the meetings, and very few of them. Not only am I often the only white person, but often the only male in the room. So if another white male does join in, then they're often gay. So that gives you an idea. So as a straight white male, I'm one of the only sort of straight white males at any of these meetings, which seems crazy, but if it was in, and I've done a lot of, as I think I've mentioned in other videos, I've done a lot of business traveling for many years. That was my job, to travel internationally doing business. I never cared about where I was, and I got used to being the only white person in the meeting room, or in the hotel lobby, or in the restaurant, or just out on the street and that sort of thing. So I never thought about it, and my job was to do business, and that's what I focused on. So it just didn't worry me. Those are the people I was supposed to deal with, and that was it. But that was traveling internationally. In Australia, where, again, every meeting I used to go to, there was never anyone other than white people in the room. Within 20 years, that's completely changed now to where, as I say, I'm the only white person in the room. So that's an incredible change. Now, again, I wouldn't care if these people were qualified and knew what they were doing, and they could speak good English, and we could have a sensible discussion and talk about business and this, that. No, I wouldn't care. It's not that big a deal to me. It's a bit of an affront seeing it in Australia, but I can look past that if there are bigger gains for the nation and for the population, that we've got a rising standard of living, that these people are geniuses bringing their expertise to Australia, and we all benefit and we're better off. And I wouldn't really care. But that's not the case. These people are, not only am I the only white person in the room, but these people are manifestly unqualified. They're being appointed purely on quotas and globalist ideology and political correctness, affirmative action. These jobs are being given to them over the tops of far better qualified white people, and that I do have a problem with. That's not a good thing. It's not going to lead any of us anywhere. It won't lead us to a good place, whether in terms of standard of living or any other measure. It's all they're doing here is replacing white people with lesser qualified brown and black people, just because it's part of the globalist ideology. It has no benefit to the local population, or indeed the people coming. They may come from some dirt poor basket case country to Australia, and they get the free stuff, and they get given a nice prestigious job and this sort of thing, and they think they're hot shit. But the reality is their grandchildren will be living in something approximating the squalor that they've left from, but they can't see that. They just see the improvement in their circumstances today. And it's almost insufferable at these meetings to to sit there, because these people who've been gifted jobs they in no way are qualified to do or get. There's no, in a competitive hiring process, they would have a zero chance of getting these jobs. So they've been gifted these jobs, but instead of understanding they've been gifted due to quotas and Western self-destruction and this sort of thing, they actually think they're hot shit. They actually think they're so fucking good. So you're sitting at these meetings with these people, listening to them posture and carry on as if they're so fucking superior to the local population, and that's a bit grating. That's a little bit annoying to have to sort of put up with that, and to look at this absurdly false sense of superiority based on fuck knows what. But that's how it is. So again, you've got to be a realist here and say, well, that's what's in front of me, and that's what I have to deal with. But when I see the destruction it's causing, I mean, where have all these white people gone who otherwise would have got the job? What sort of, have they been relegated to, flipping burgers in some takeout food store? I mean, where have they gone? Because the jobs haven't multiplied at the same rate as the immigration has. So presumably these white people are being pushed out somewhere else. Are they all getting promoted? Are they all now managing directors or CEOs of big banks or something? Well, no, they're not. So I don't know where they've got. I don't fully understand the realignment that's gone there. Maybe there needs to be something of a study. But if these jobs are being gifted to people who are in no way qualified, where have all the white people gone who would otherwise have got those jobs? So anyway, sitting in these meetings and even covering what I believe are fairly simple points of logic, even and sequential thought. It's you don't need an IQ of 5 million to work through some of these things, and you can see these people are completely struggling with it, have no idea, and some of them, particularly some parts of Asia, they compensate for their insecurity by bluster and by trying to sort of go on the offensive in some way, and you can tell that it's just the mark of a fucking amateur. They don't know what they're doing. Why would any business want to put people like that in there? And of course, the reality is that they're getting all sorts of government dispensations. They're getting oligopoly or pricing cartel powers or monopoly, or they're being given cozy government contracts. That's how they're able to do this and get away with it, all in return for an ideological globalist play. So, and also on the matter of spoken English, you particularly say operations directors that don't speak English very well, they've got this sort of Dostoevsky type sort of view of administration and bureaucracy, where the joy of quoting rules of people rule 41 page 10 subclause 10 and they love that sort of bureaucratic power play shit with their broken English and their minimal comprehension of it. And if you try and, in order to move the discussion forward, you try and point out that in fact they've misunderstood the salient point here, then that it makes them even more insecure, and they blush and their faces go red as they try and save face in this. But they genuinely think that they're in those positions because they're so fucking good, and that's one of the problems, which means they're reluctant to listen. They also they also bring a lot of the attitudes from their dirt poor basket case shithole country with them. So, these countries exist purely on graft and corruption and cronyism and favours, that sort of thing. So they bring that attitude with them. In fact, they're more likely to change the West into a corrupt, cronyistic society and economy than we're likely to change them into being merit-based. And the more merit gets removed, the more likely it is that into that vacuum, as merit goes, that cronyism and corruption will fill that void, fill that vacuum, and thus creating a much poorer society down the track. Well, today, even a poorer society today and down the track. So I just wanted to comment on just another thing I'll just mention in passing. I was doing some tidying up in the storage at the back of the garage there, and and as I was going through some things and tearing them up or whatever, I outdropped a phone list from probably more than 20 years ago now, from one of the big firms that at the time I was doing business with, and all the names were Wilson, Jones, Smith, and that sort of thing. There certainly were no names, Ooga Dooga type names there. But you look at that, just getting onto some of the business websites and just having a look at that company. They've probably expanded their workforce from, say, around 800 to 1,200 here in Sydney, but the amount of white people have gone from 800 all white to maybe 200 white people now. And sure, most of those 200 would be in the upper echelons of the management structure. So in that case, at least. But that's a stunning change in 20 years, and it can't just be it isn't a natural organic process where they're just hiring the best qualified person, and it just happens to be always black and brown, and mostly female, by the way. In the meeting rooms, I'm mostly dealing with females, not all, but mostly. Certainly the brown and black ones at least. So this organisation, they've suddenly gone from 0% non-white to say 15% white, so 85%. So from 0 non-white to 85% non-white, and they've done that in just over 20 years. And it's obviously not a policy of hiring the best person. It just simply couldn't be. You wouldn't get those odds anyway if it was organic and natural. So it's clearly been a very focused and defined policy. We want to get as many black and brown faces in here as we can. What if they're not qualified? Don't give a shit. Just get them in the door. That's it. And we want female ones as well. So, all right, then. Well, let's do that. How are we going to get around this? If we got all these people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, well, the company's going to go broke. No. The government's promised us lots of nice, cozy contracts. We'll be good, and our pay packets will increase at the apex, and so we're good to go. It doesn't matter. Hiring all these black and brown, corrupt third world peasants, it's not going to affect our business. We're going to be taken care of there. So let's just get them in the door. We're about social engineering, folks. We're here as social engineers. Those people out there think we're here to do a commercial business, but that's bullshit. We're here as social engineers, and that's our job in this globalist ideological world. And I'm being a little bit facetious and silly there, but it's about how things are. So there you go. That's my take on it. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.